All right, so here is the start of the ride. He is very good about standing still for the mounting block. You can see that I kind of held my whip out on the outside because he used to bend his back legs away from the mounting block, but now he stands really well. And I always, with the young horses, emphasize them standing there for at least 5 or 6 seconds before asking them to walk off, mainly because there's so many horses that anticipate and move forward, and I think it just sets the tone for the ride. So at this point, he has already been lunged for about 7 or 8 minutes, both directions. And so I just hop on and let him walk out on a longer rein since he's just been in the side reins. And here I'm not having to pedal or smack him, maybe the occasional cluck, but he's just walking forward. You'll feel it when you get on him for the first time. He has kind of this like longer walk stride, and so sometimes it feels a little slow, but he's actually more active than you think he is. So if you feel that while you're on him, just know he's probably walking out a little more than you think. It's just the way that his walk feels. So, and yeah, you can see I'm not very good at using my Pivo camera, so I'm going to look like the Headless Horseman half the ride, but at least you can see how cute your horse is. So I'm going to just be quiet here for a sec and let you watch him walk until we start going again. All right, so here I start to pick up the reins a bit, and I put my legs on and cluck, and he goes into the trot. At the beginning of the ride, I normally just try to establish him moving really forward and moving towards the bit. So you'll see the first couple circles, I have a little bit of a longer rein while I'm just letting him get comfortable moving forward. I tend to keep him at a pretty high pace for the trot work because slowing him down will never really be a problem. So I just keep him moving nice and forward, and then I start taking just a little more contact. As you can see, he's being a little above right now, and so he's going to start coming into it here in the next circle or two. His head tilt has gotten a lot better, but sometimes he still does. If you notice while you're riding that he's kind of tilting his head, I tend to just bend him to the inside and then let him straighten out with the outside rein. And that seems to kind of help. So here he got a little fussy, and so I just kind of tap him with my inside leg and cluck a bit and just basically tell him, like, no, go to the bit. And then he kind of levels out. So yeah, and he's still learning how to go through corners. Corners are really hard for baby horses, but he figures it out. And so here I do a change across the arena. And so basically when I want him to change directions, I basically just start looking the direction I want to go and shift my weight a little towards the new way. And then he stays pretty supple and changes well for me. So I'm going to do basically the same thing on this side, where we're just going to trot around on a really nice connection. And when he's being good, I like to lower my hand and pet his neck a bit. He likes the reassurance that he's being a good boy, because he really does try very hard. So, and the way that I've taught him to go around is basically I just kind of hold the outside rein as like a really like snug connection that's elastic, and I ask him to bend around my inside leg, and then I'll lift up my inside hand. It doesn't go back, it just lifts up. And then he normally puts his neck in a really nice spot. And he's starting to understand trot lengthenings. I haven't done too many of them with him because he likes to start cantering because it's just a little hard. And so there was our first canter transition. You can see he kind of came off the wall a little bit. So I'm going to trot him here in this corner. And then I go back and redo it. I didn't set him up super great, and he thought we were going to be doing a circle, and then I told him we weren't doing a circle, so that's why we veer off a bit. So this one I prepare him a little better, and so I say canter, I kiss, and I sit and put my leg back, and then he picks up the canter really well. And at the canter, he's very comfortable. He has a really nice, long, slow stride. And on the 20-meter circles, one thing that has helped him quite a bit is if I look to the diagonal points. So you'll see like at C, I'll go and turn, and then I go to the wall, and then we turn again. And then we go to the center line, we turn again, because otherwise he starts to lose his balance if I try to keep him on like a true 20-meter circle. And he will start kind of like leg yielding out of the circle. And so that has been something that has helped him with his balance quite a bit. So here I do a bending line, which he actually can go to the center line and do this, but because I have my camera there, I can't get too close, otherwise it'll lose me. So you're gonna see me kind of do this again. So I basically just kind of lean to the inside just a little bit, and then I use my outside rein and just kind of open it back towards the wall, and he floats back over really well. So the first level, test 3, canter loop will not be a problem for him. He's quite good at that. And then we do another change of bend here and just a little more trot work. And I believe I'm going to pick up the canter again here pretty soon. And so the left lead is not quite as crisp of a transition as the right lead, but he still does it pretty well for how young he is. It's an awkward transition, which is why they put it in the Grand Prix test. Fun fact. And so you'll see he's twisting his head to the inside just a little bit. It's not bad. I try to just kind of keep him straight on the outside rein, and as time goes on, he will get straighter with that. So here I do a nice 20-meter circle, and he has gotten really, really clever at these because he used to, the turning part was really difficult, and he would just kind of leg yield out. So I'm really happy with how these have been going. And so then I go back to doing a bending line. And again, I just kind of shift my balance towards the direction I want to go, and then to the inside, and then I just open my outside rein back to go to the outside, and he's quite good at it. And so and then here I prepare him for a simple change. Before I do the simple change, what I like to do is during the downward transition to the trot, I like to get him off of the new inside leg and go ahead and bend him through the transition. So then he's already set up after the transition. So we're going to do another one going back to the other direction. And so this is the harder lead for him to pick up. So I like to do a short diagonal, half halt, trot, bend him again, and then pick up the new one. And so you can see it wasn't as graceful, but he still goes and he still tries. The shorter diagonals are more successful. The long diagonals, there's just a little too much arena space, and sometimes he gets confused about where we're going and will pick up the wrong lead, which doesn't happen super often. And so here I'm doing a lengthen canter, and he got a little excited with that one, which is, I love that he gets excited with the forward motion here. And we just do a nice trot transition, then I ask him for the canter again. And so I basically want to show that you can ask him for a canter anywhere in the arena and he will give it to you. And so for the downward, I just kind of like to sit back a little, put my leg on, and half halt at the outside rein. And he also knows words really, really well. So you can always say trot, and then he will just start trotting. And so then we go to pick up the new one. And so you can see the picking up the right lead is really, really good for how young he is. So the other lead will get nice as time goes on. So here I ask him to lengthen again, just kind of put my leg on and cluck at him. And he goes, and then I just sit back and half halt, and he comes back better on this side because the right lead is just a lot easier for him than the left. And so then I do more transitions here, right? And then I go and pick it up. And he's just such a clever little boy. And then I half halt and sit deep again. And then he trots. And he's used to me asking a lot of him. So don't be afraid to, just because he's a young horse, go ahead and just ask him. He'll do it. And then he gives me a really nice halt. I like to practice the halts on the wall with the babies, especially him, because sometimes he'll like to move one of the back legs out a direction, which you'll see later in the video. He does one. And how I fix that is by just trotting on and doing it again. And sometimes before the halt transition, I will give him some upward half halts on either rein just to encourage him to stay round, because sometimes he likes to fall on his forehand, and then, the whole transition is just really yucky. And another way that I help him with the halt is I lift my toes up, and he will halt just off of that. And so here, I'm just turning him with my legs and a little bit of neck reining, so you can see that he responds really well. So I just use my legs, and I kind of lean towards the direction I want to go, and he follows my body weight really, really well. And then I lift my toes, and he stops. Oh, that was a good one. He's such a good boy. And so then I'm just kind of taking the reins again. And so I just kind of normally hold him a little bit and wait for him to give. Not the babies. I don't like to teach him to give too much to the bit. But I do want him to have a soft connection. And I want him to always be available to whatever rein length I choose. And so here he's just walking a bit on the bit, and I think we're going to do this for probably the next little while until I ask him to trot again. And if I remember correctly, the first transition was just a little messy, so I stop and we do it again. I guess that was another one because that one was really nice. Disregard what I just said. And so here I'm going to start working on some lateral work. So I'm asking his shoulders come off the wall, which he's still pretty green at. But whenever he does, I normally stop and pet him because that's his favorite thing. And then we just kind of go back to it. I've also done it where I leg yield into the wall and then ask him for a shoulder in. I've also done it with a small circle, but with my pivot, I have to be really careful about getting too close. So I'm just using a lot of the inside leg and kind of leaning out to bring his shoulders over. And then whenever he does it, I'll just kind of stop and pet him and tell him how good he is. And so here's the trot transition I didn't like. So he starts to trot and his head goes up and he braces. So I supple him with the inside rein and then we go off again. Yep, so Here's his attempt at shoulder in this direction. And I thought he was going to poop. And I try to be really aware of when he does that because he stops and poops. But this time he was just kind of messing with me. So I actually gave him 3 smacks because I asked him to go back into the trot and he didn't. And basically trying to tell him, like, you can't pretend to do that and then not do it. So then we're going back into it. He was just a little unsteady here. And then about here, he actually moved his shoulders over. And I was really happy with that. And then I try to straighten him right before the wall so he doesn't get out of balance. And then we're attempting it again. And, you know, he's just still a little green and learning it, but there's some really nice steps in there. And the stronger he gets, the better that will get. And so now I'm going to start the leg yields. And so basically I just try to keep his neck really straight between both the reins, and I step into the stirrup of the direction I want to go, and he just follows my body weight and floats over. Really, really nice. And he can do it going to the wall and coming off the wall. Coming off the wall is still a little hard, but he does really, really well. So we go to quarter line, and then I ask him to leg yield back. And then I felt him starting to suck behind my leg. You can see I was kind of giving some kicks and not getting a lot of reaction. So we just go back into the canter. The answer with him, if he starts to suck behind your leg, is just to canter a couple circles, and then he will be good to go again. And so here, I actually go to quarter line, and I leg yield him over to the wall. And he's quite clever and very good at that. Then we do another simple change. Or actually, no, we just keep trotting because now we're on the new direction. And so the turn was a little abrupt, but then we just step into the outside stirrup and keep going. And then I just kind of look where I want to go and step into the stirrup of the direction we're going, and then just float back to the wall again. And then he picks up the canter just so he doesn't get too behind the leg. And so this time I actually leg yield him off the wall, and then I leg yield him back to the wall. He's pretty maneuverable side to side, and I think he's going to have really impressive lateral work the older he gets. And so here, I'm just showing you that your horse is not going to run away if you drop the reins, though I do need them to be able to turn in the corners, so I have to pick him back up again. But you can drop the reins and canter, and he's just going to keep basically the same tempo. He might get a little bigger, but I could have also been pushing him with my seat and then not had any rein to be able to balance, which is most likely what that was. But then I take him back, and he goes back to the connection really nicely. I like how available he is for the rein length. And so here we're working on stretching. And so this is something that we've been working a little bit on recently. His hardest part of the stretch circle is he wants to just fall on his shoulders. And so I don't let him do that. So I have to really keep after him with my leg and a little bit of spur to keep him going while he starts to put his neck down. I think he's going to have a very impressive stretchy trot the older that he gets. It's just so hard for the babies to be able to balance. So then we go to the other side. And he's a little over tempo here, but like I said, slowing him down will never be a problem. And then we go ahead and do the stretchy circle this direction. And he's starting to get kind of tired towards the end of this video. I normally give him more breaks, but I didn't have a lot of memory, so I needed to get this recorded pretty quick before my camera cut out. And so again, it's just some flexing him to the inside, allowing him to stretch his neck down, but the main focus is keeping his back legs still coming underneath so that he doesn't just start shuffling on his shoulders. And then I take the reins back, which he comes really, really nicely to me. And he's starting to get pretty tired here, but I wanted to show a serpentine or two. And then another thing we've worked on is him continuing to work while he's tired, because he used to get really fussy instead of just saying yes, ma'am, and working. So I was really happy that he kept going for me here. And his changes of directions are quite nice. I just allow him to straighten out for a stride or two. And then I just lift the new inside rein, put my new inside leg on, and he goes really well. So here I go to halt, and that's where he moves away. So I kicked him right back into the trot. And I'm going to halt him at the next E. And as I'm coming into it, I'm leaning back a bit. I'm really keeping my leg on. I'm giving some upward half halts on both reins. And then I just lift my toes and sit. And he gives me almost a darn near perfect halt. And I ask him to soften his neck just a little bit before walking off, just so he doesn't get bracy on me. And that was our ride. So I walk him out for a little bit after this, and I was trying to pet his forehead. Sometimes he lets me after a ride, but yeah, I guess he wasn't feeling it here. I'm going to fast forward to after our cool out and show you some fun stuff. Me literally just screwing around on your horse and him not caring at all about what I was doing. So you know that he is very, very safe. So I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward to that, because the next 5 minutes are pretty boring. So this next little bit is me just kind of messing with your horse. I did want to hop on and just say how much we're going to miss him. He is so sweet and special. And I remember when he first came to the barn and we all looked at him, and he just kind of looked like a plain horse out in the field. But Rob and I were sitting there and we were like, he's going to be a special one when he grows up. He's not the big flashy horse that people normally look at, but he's going to develop a flash that's going to be so natural and elegant, and he's just going to be an amazing horse. And I'm so excited for your partnership with him. He is very special, and I think you guys are just going to have the best of time. So if you ever have any questions, please feel free to just reach out to me. I would love any and all updates about him. And yeah, so super excited for both of you, and I'll just let this roll out for the rest of the video, which is just me still running around a bit. And then I just hope you love and enjoy your new horse. All right, bye.